Hey there and welcome back to Remnant 2. We are going to be using the Wrathbringer today. Now it's a boss weapon you get from the One True King and has a unique effect so that incoming damage increases its melee damage up to 50%, stacks 10 times. And in order to trigger that, normally you have to take damage, get hit by guys, etc, etc. But if you equip the Atonement Fold, this inflicts bleeding on you and that bleeding will trigger the effect. So we automatically are going to have 10 stacks of damage bonus to this thing, which is pretty nice, and it really allows us to play safe without actually having to take hits from enemies and stuff. Now there's three ways I thought about building around the thing, and the first one was to do basically my hollowed egg build, where I just stack a lot of bonus melee damage, use a dervish mutator, wormhole in, and just have a huge amount of bonus damage on that single swing and blow guys up, things like that. And that works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll do the job, right? But I wanted to do something different, and just like I talk about sometimes on those damage builds, sometimes like on my stagger build, there's like a threshold where eventually you just you don't need any more, right? Like you're good, you're doing enough damage, and that's kind of what has happened here, because we've got 50% damage bonus here, and I kept stacking some other things, and you just don't need that much, right? So then I looked at two other ways of building it, and the first way is just building around critical hit, critical damage, and the other way is just raw damage. So my current setup, I'm using the Butcher's Fetish, so that when do a charge melee attack, it increases our crit chance by 15%, increases that crit damage by 25%. We already have a big melee damage bonus. Let's just try and get a huge crit bonus. And the reason I leaned into doing the whole crit stuff with it is because on the Atonement Fold, it gives us an automatic 10% critical hit chance, which is great. So we can use this plus there to start stacking up a lot of critical hit chance. And then in addition to that, I have the probability cord down at the bottom here, increase crit damage by another 30%. And in our relic, we've got 20% crit damage, 10% crit chance. So we end up doing a lot of critical hits on this weapon, and we end up doing a lot of damage. Baseline, just automatic swings. Once we build up some stacks, because I forgot to mention, the mutator we have in there is Overdrive. It's basically the momentum of melee weapons. So anytime you get a critical hit on your melee weapon, it increases a melee critical hit and damage 5% for 15 seconds, stacking 5 times. So you can get a 25% bonus. And then at level 10, your melee critical hits deal 20% additional damage. So we're doing a lot of damage on those critical hits, and we're doing a lot of them. Plus, the Wrathbringer itself has a really good stagger modifier. So there's a lot of enemies that end up just getting staggered outright, and then we're just pummeling them for 1900 a swing. A wormhole in critical hit on some guys, we're doing 6,000 damage, 7,000 damage. It's a lot of damage. Now, some of my other choices, we have the Alchemy Stone on because we have the Atonement Fold on. That gives us bleeding. Alchemy Stone gives us lifesteal when we have a status effect, so we've got more lifesteal. And then we've also got the Dying Ember, which is again more melee damage lifesteal. Because I end up taking a lot of damage, we've got some passive regeneration thanks to the Tranquil Heart, but because of the bleeding, active healing effects are nowhere near as good. So just having some lifesteal stuff going on is pretty nice. Now say you don't have the Butcher's Fetish, or maybe you don't want to use it because it is a little annoying having to do a charge melee attack to stack up the bonus, and then if you don't do it, then you end up losing the bonus and stuff. You could run the Nightweaver's Grudge. This just gives you a 20% crit chance and haste whenever somebody nearby has a status effect. We always have bleed on us, so this is always going to be active, so you can just have a flat bonus to your crit chance and haste, which is really nice. Now, ultimately, the actual damage is lower, but the ease of use is just so much easier to do. It's so much better. Now, let's say you don't want to build around the critical hits. You could go raw damage. And if you're going to do raw damage, at that point, there's two main amulet choices I would go with. If you want to lean all the way into melee, Matriarch's Insignia is going to be the winner. So melee damage is increased by 35%. Your hits are going to give you stamina back, which is perfect when you need to do a lot of dodging in there, right? And then the other choice, since we have the Atonement Fold on, it would be the Neckbone Necklace, which is right next to it, basically. Reduces status effect damage on us, and then when we have one, we do 25% more damage. So, it's just another flat damage increase, which is great. It's nice because it's across all our damage, too. It's not just your melee weapons. And, I mean, at that point, if that's what you're doing, you don't necessarily need the probability cord. You could go leaning more into just the raw damage with the Fey Warrior Ring. Maybe you want stacks of Bulwark with the Bruiser Ring. In the relic, at that point, I would also take out the extra critical hit chance and stuff, so you get rid of those, put in melee damage, put in melee attack speed, and in the weapon, I would go ahead and put in Striker. There it is. Melee hits are going to increase your melee damage, gives it a stack up to 5 times, and then increase movement speed for each stack. So that's what I would do. That's what I was doing when I went with just raw damage, you know, and it worked, you know, it worked. But we're going to do critical hits here. Now, past that, nothing else like super amazing going on, right? I've got Invader, so I've got the teleport ability that leaves behind a clone, so it distracts enemies, gives us some bonus damage and stuff. Challenger is my secondary because we get more damage when we're in close, with Juggernaut because, of course, if we're leaning heavily into melee, makes sense, right? I was taking a lot of hits because I was just playing really bad yesterday, and this morning I'm not really warmed up. So I've got the Leto Mark II armor on, which gives us that heavyweight load thanks to the Challenger. If you're feeling a little bit better and you want better stamina management and stuff, put on some heavy set of armor that you like, because then you'll get to that medium load. Already mentioned some of the runes that are in a relic. We've got the melee crit chance, melee crit damage. I put extra health in there. It is a tranquil heart, because anytime you have bleeding, you need to figure out a way to counter that. Because now, instead of like us having to take damage from enemies, now we just have to deal with bleed. I pretty much just chosen to deal with it by having Tranquil Heart plus Regrowth and Triage. So that's a way to do it. You could run something else like the Blood Tinged Stone if that's what you want to do, or some other combination. Ranged weapon, because the bad thing is anytime you do a melee build, you always have to consider your ranged weapons, because unfortunately there are just enemies that are going to hard counter them. I mean, I was playing through Yesha, and who do I get? I get Mother Mind. I can't hit her in the face with a hammer, really. Now, I mean, you could still use like a Butcher's Fetish setup and do like a weapon with like ranged projectiles, like, you know, the Hero's Sword, Krell Axe, Huntress Spear, any of those that do like ranged properties, and then you could still be doing like Butcher's Fetish stuff. But because we're trying to do the Wrathbringer is essentially useless in that fight. So anytime you do a melee build, you got to think about ranged options, right? Which is kind of why I have the Alchemy Stone on, because that's generic lifesteal amounts. That's why I ended up putting on the Probability Core, because again, it's just a flat critical damage increase, and the Butcher's Fetish actually helps us out with our ranged critical damage too. It's only, you know, it just requires a melee charge attack, and then it's all our crit stuff. So we've got the Pulse Rifle, because that's what I felt like using. Song of Aether to help kind of deal with some of the flyers, and having slow on guys and reducing their damage can be pretty helpful. And Momentum is in there because we have some crit enhancements thanks to the Butcher's Fetish, so Momentum can get some mileage out of it. And then my second shot, or my handgun, is the Sure Shot. It has Soulbinder in there. Soulbinders can be pretty fun. When I was fighting the Ravager, it helps to really clear out some of the little adds he summons. It can be just in general kind of fun to use, right? Top heavy because it's a one-shot weapon, and it just works out pretty nicely for it. Trait-wise, it's pretty much my normal Apocalypse setup. You know, Triage, Regrowth, Fortify. I did put points into Swiftness because I want to be able to close the gap kind of fast, even though we also have the Wormhole. Sometimes having the extra movement is pretty nice. Maxed out Vigor, maxed out Spirit, Expertise, Siphoner, and then a couple points Endurance, a couple points Recovery. Now, depending on how you feel about your stamina management, because we have a heavy load and we do need to do some like charged melee attacks, you may want to shuffle some of these points around to give yourself a little bit more endurance or recoveries, just so it's a little bit easier to do things. Now, I mentioned earlier that for, you know, at a certain point you're kind of just doing overkill, right? Like right there, 1069. I mean, that's how much health he has. Like, we probably did more damage than that, but it's a one-shot kill. And at a certain point, you just don't need to keep stacking up damage. Like, for all these little guys, we don't need the Butcher's Fetish. We don't need the Wormhole. We don't need any of that stuff. All those extra damage bonuses are really there for elites and for bosses. Because these little guys, you just don't need it. So we can just rely on the flat 50% damage bonus that the Wrathbringer is getting to clear these guys easily. Now we'll deal with this guy, and what we'll do to kind of make it easier, we're actually going to hit him with a slow, and then we Wormhole in, big charge attack, boom, some 3,000 damage, and then we just go to town. Just like that. I mean, he was slowed, so I mean, that definitely messed him up, but even if he wasn't slowed, that thing would have been just fine. Actually, there's another dude right there, and we're going to blow that guy up because they're squishy. Any of those soft, like, kind of caster elites, they're going to go down easily. Now, we pre-gamed a little bit with our charge attack to make sure we could actually just have that bonus crit damage right away. Oh, that was only 2,000. Well, that's depressing. Huh. Should have been more damage. Well, that's depressing because I have definitely hit those guys for 7,000 damage before. Well, at any rate, for the most part, going through, there's not, like, a lot of super fancy things to show you for clearing out trash, because you're just clearing out small guys. You can see we have a ton of, like, you know, just, what you call it, just extra melee damage. And then if we split his damage, maybe, there it is, there's a 3,000 damage. That's 3,400. Not sure how I was doing 7,000 then. I know I was doing 7,000 yesterday. I have clips of it. But like I said, for the most part, like, you know, there's nothing really crazy to show you for dealing with the ads. It's not like crazy combos or anything like that and mod usage or anything. It's just hitting them hard and getting rid of them. It's really for the elite guys and bosses that you'll see some differences. But even then on the bosses, you got to be careful because, you know, like I said, there's some of them they just completely hard counter us. Now, I did clear Kaeula because, of course, Kaeula is like the perfect like melee boss. I took out Ravager. Ravager was interesting because you have to really manage your stamina and stuff because he is very aggressive. There's a lot of flow to the fight, which is fun. But you do have to, like, watch what you're doing. Alright, let me see if I can't blow this guy up. I should be able to. I don't know why I haven't yet. We're going to get our bonus up there. And then, there it is, 7,900. That's what I was trying to show you. Like, and all those other little sections making me look bad. Yeah. Which is crazy that it took me that long to get that critical hit. Because we have a 25% there. Another 15% there. Like, if you look on our crit chance bonus over here, it was like up into the 40, 50s or something, right? I don't know. Overall, the setup has worked out kind of nice for me, simply because the crit stuff, like, you can see we're getting pretty good amount of crits on our long gun. The long gun then gets its own stacking bonus to it. Probability cord helps it out a little bit. All right, at this point, I'm just going to throw in some clips that I did yesterday, and they're what I salvaged, because, of course, this game, I love this game. Something about it just does not agree with my computer, with my, you know, recording, OBS software, anything like that. Like, this is the only game I have those kinds of issues. And so anyways, I salvaged some stuff from there. You might see a little bit of some Ravager fight. You'll see some Kaeula and a couple more elites just getting blown up. Enjoy. There we go. There's an elite, which is cool for us because I would really like to show how much we can do to him. He's got armor too, but we're still going to be able to stagger him if my previous experience was accurate at all. We'll wait for him to come down. Teleport in, charge attack, and then we just start going. Look at that, half of his health's gone. Yeah, all that armor, no good. And we didn't even finish stacking all our stuff. Like, we only had 4 stacks of their overdrive going on, so, like, we could have been doing even more damage. Another one of these guys, that's fine. Dodge back. And then we teleport in for a big charged attack. Boom. And then we just start going to town. We haven't even used Juggernaut. I mean, he couldn't do anything about it. The stagger values on this are pretty solid. The raw damage, even on his armor, works out. Like, he just can't do anything about it. And like I said, like, I mean, you saw that. If you get in close on any of the trash guys, even without full stacks of everything, it's so much more damage than you actually need. Like, you don't have to worry about getting the butcher's fetish for all the trash guys. You don't have to worry about it for really any of those things. It's just for the elites, for the bosses. All right, here's an elite. I might be able to just like blow him up in one shot. We'll see. Dodge back. Oh no, the roller. Teleport in and then, oh, we're gonna get grabbed. That's unfortunate. How much damage did we do? I'm not actually sure. Oh, stop staggering me. Alright, I would like to win now, please. Stupid rollers. I mean, we didn't even hit him that much, I don't think, because we kept getting staggered. And how many hits was it? Maybe 3 hits? Alright, there's a caster elite right up there, so we're going to blow him up. We're going to start by hitting a charged melee attack on one of these guys, so we've got our immediate bonus. And then we will jump and blow him up. And he's gone. 7,000 damage. Just like that. Oh, another one. All right. Boop. And he's gone. We don't even have, right? We didn't have the full stacks of overdrive going on. Like, that's how much damage you can do with this thing, right? You get some of the things stacked up and you're just one-shotting elites that aren't actually armored like those other guys. Watch this on the thing. Watch what happens when he explodes. Isn't that neat? The, yeah, that's what happens there with freaking Soulbinder. If they blow themselves up, it splits that blow up damage to nearby guys. Interesting. Here we go. We go ahead and activate Juggernaut now. Party and Regenerator, huh? Should be fine. Dodge. Dodge. One more. Yeah, so bad thing is we don't have the Shark built up. I think building up Shark is one of the more annoying things of this whole setup. But, I mean, look how much damage we're doing. Like, absolutely chunking her. We're going to drop this right here just to slow them down. Make sure we have some damage reduction from them. That way we're not actually getting, like, completely messed up or something. Boom. Boom. We didn't even teleport on Kaeula. I just realized that. We'll get a charge attack on this thing so that when she does show up, we're already ready. Teleport. And now big charge attack. Big charge attack. There it goes. And then we just finish her up. We need to build up. Oh, we don't have any stacks of sharks. See, that's what I mean. Like, if you're not actively dodging, then you end up losing out on those damage bonuses, which is really a bummer. Also, I think our Juggernaut ended, so that's part of it too. Two things. I don't like juggling buffs, man. It's kind of annoying. Which is why I like using the Nightweaver's Grudge, because you just put it on, and then bam. It's damage bonuses there, crit chances there, you got haste, all the good things, so that's my thought there. But if you kind of like using buffs, if you don't mind managing them, overall this setup, not bad at all. And that's what I mean, I know you guys have seen it. I've seen clips, and if I've seen random clips, it means they're pretty prevalent of just Kaeula getting absolutely smashed by whatever melee build, because she's just a perfect melee boss, I would say. Alright, this is like the 4th time I've tried to record this fight, and it just keeps glitching out every time. So we're going to see if this one sticks. Going into this fight, there's some interesting things with it, right? Because Kaeula, when we fight Kaeula in this build, we do so much damage. We basically pushed her right in the second phase. Like, yeah, there was some dodging to do, but for the most part, we didn't really have to manage our stamina a whole bunch or anything like that. But because this boss actually has some, like, meat to him, we have to be careful how we're doing with our stamina, because we need stamina to do a fully charged melee attack so that we can get the Butcher's Fetish activated. But then we need to make sure we have stamina to dodge, because he's going to do a series of attacks, so we have to make sure we have stamina to dodge those. And then, we got to make sure that we take time to either stop to recharge our stamina or shoot or something like that. So you actually have to be a little careful with your stamina setup on something like this. But the melee works fairly well on the Ravager, at least, which is good. We're going to just teleport in. And, of course, he fully charged in, which is a bummer. Let's see, now we got that going. Let's get a couple shots while we're at it. And then we roll in. I would like to do a charge attack, except I was a little greedy. Ready for his next attack? Yep. And then, we just get some shots in there while we can. And every now and then we go in and get a melee attack. 8,000 damage is pretty solid, right? A couple shots whenever we can. Neutral dodge that. Get ready for the next one. Nice. We can actually teleport into him there. Fully charge attack again. Now this is where we can really use Soulbind to good effects. Now we should have tried to do a neutral dodge there, but of course I kind of messed it up. Let's do a couple shots. Yeah, split them up. Roll. Another charge attack. This is kind of why I don't like using the freaking, what's it called, Butcher's Fetish. It's because I hate having to keep up the buff and stuff. It just feels tedious to me. I like to have my bonuses active, and then I can just go. Ow. And then you have things like that where you start messing up like I do, and then you start taking a bunch of damage. Luckily, we have a bunch of lifesteal, which works out for us in this fight because he has the empathy, so that can help us out. Let's teleport. I was hoping to kind of completely dodge that. Now that should really mess up those guys. Of course, it's still one. He's gone. There we go. Another hit. 1, 2, and then we get some attacks in. 1. Yeah, see, we gotta watch that stamina again. He should do elite. Yep. We need this reloaded. I haven't even used my Juggernaut ability yet, so we have that going for us. Now, I let him get the dough, so he's got the bonuses for that. Or at least he should. Is he still going to get the bonus? Because I think he gets, like, a defense bonus when he eats the dough. I can't remember anymore. Now I'm, like, all questioning it. Let's go ahead and use our Juggernaut now. Teleport in. Fully charge attack. Except we missed. Oh, no, we didn't. Now, problem with this fight, once we get him really close to being done, is he is going to start doing that big howl. And that's going to be very difficult for us to deal with, because we can't be in close. We have to, like, actually create some space so that he doesn't mess us up.
That was some good damage there. Roll back. Yeah. Oh, we managed to recover in time. Nice. We can get rid of that thing. Pick up our ammo. And he's going to do it now. Anytime he does that little hop, that's when you know he's going to try and, like, jump on you or do that. Now, what we could do is with the wormhole, we can actually use that to create some space, and I messed up the roll. I needed to roll there. Yep, just like that. And then we get a nice, reasonable shot. Too bad it's not like a single-shot weapon that does a lot of damage. And this is one of those times where the melee is just not super reliable, because he's just going to keep doing that stupid thing. And so you're going to end up having to run every single time. Just like that. I mean, luckily with the wormhole, it makes it fairly easy to do. But it is really annoying. Let's just drop this right here. And then, whoop. Ow, of course. Oh no, I really don't want to lose here. I messed that up. That was dumb of me. Alright, we're about to win. Of course, I see my recording is all jacked up. So, will you get to see the end of the fight? Probably not. I don't know why it keeps doing that, dude. That was like another 3 times of me doing it to try and get it to not be janky. And then my sound cut out weird. I don't know what's going on.
All right, well, that's pretty much it for the video. You know, Wrathbringer is pretty fun. It's nice to have, like, automatic stacks without having to take damage. And then building up a lot of crit chance and stuff on it to do really big numbers for crit damage is pretty fun. I enjoy that quite a bit. And Wormhole is always a blast, you know. A lot of these things I just really enjoy using. Now, if you don't really want to use Atonement Fold, if for some reason you don't have it, but you do have the Wrathbringer, which I don't really know why that would be the case, what I would then recommend, because this requires you to take damage, I would put in the Steadfast Mutator so that your charged melee attacks can't be interrupted, but you gain... you also gain damage reduction during your charge attacks. So you could just sit there and trade with enemies. It's a lot of fun. I've done it before in builds, and you can basically become unkillable. There's a ton of hits that if you build right, you can just trade through. So you can trade, be able to take the damage and not actually die, while also getting increased melee damage, which is pretty nice. Thanks for checking it out, though. Always appreciate it when you guys do. And yeah, until the next one, take care.